There is a farmhouse in central Pennsylvania, built in 1883. 3,200 square feet, 3 stories, stone foundation, wood frame, slate roof. In January, when the temperature outside drops to minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, the family inside is comfortable in their shirt sleeves. They heat the entire house with 1 log per day. That's it. No furnace, no gas, no electric heat. 1 log split from the woodpile behind the barn is fed into a brick stove in the morning. By evening, the house is still warm. By the next morning, when they wake up, the stove is still radiating heat from the day before. Their annual heating cost is whatever it costs them in chainsaw fuel, about $200 a year. Yours is probably 12 to 25 times higher. I'm Bob, and welcome to When the Lights Go Out. Subscribe and hit the bell, because when the modern world stops working, you want to know this stuff before you need it. I've been in construction for 20 years. I've installed every kind of heating system the modern industry sells. High-efficiency gas furnaces, heat pumps, mini splits, and radiant floor systems. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, almost every one of those systems will fail within 15 to 20 years, will cost the homeowner $4,000 to $8,000 to replace, and will burn through between $1,500 and $3,000 a year in fuel over its lifetime. Now compare that to a stove built from 2,000 bricks and a cast iron door, installed once, that outlasts the house it sits in. That is not nostalgia. That is engineering the industry buried, because it did not fit the business model. The stove I am describing is called a Masonry heater. Sometimes it is called a Russian stove, or a German Kachelofen, or a Finnish contraflow stove. Every cold climate civilization on the planet independently figured out the same technology. The Germans were building these in the 1500s. The Russians were building them by the 1600s. When German and Swiss immigrants arrived in Pennsylvania in the 1700s, they brought the design with them. By the 1880s, masonry heaters were standard in farmhouses across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and the upper Midwest. Then natural gas arrived, and then central heating. In 2 generations, an entire continent forgot how to heat a house. Here's what's actually happening inside one of these stoves, because the physics of it is the most important thing you will learn from this video. A conventional wood stove burns slow and cool. The fire smolders. The chimney pulls heat out of the house and dumps it into the atmosphere. Efficiency, measured by the EPA, runs from 40 to 60%. That means half the energy in every log you burn goes straight up the chimney and does nothing for you. A masonry heater does the exact opposite. You build a small, fierce, fast fire, 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit at the core of the firebox. That fire burns hot enough to combust nearly every flammable gas the wood releases. Efficiency, documented by the Masonry Heater Association and verified by Brookhaven National Laboratory, runs from 90 to 95%. You're not losing heat, you're capturing it. But the fire only burns for an hour or 2. So how does the house stay warm for the next 23 hours? That's the genius of the design. The stove itself is built from 3 to 5 tons of brick, stone, and ceramic mass. When that fire burns hot, the bricks absorb the heat, not the air, the bricks. After the fire dies, those bricks continue to radiate heat slowly into the room for 12, 18, or sometimes 24 hours. The surface of the stove never exceeds about 180 degrees Fahrenheit, which means you can lean against it without burning yourself. The heat is even, gentle, and distributed by radiation, not by blowing hot air through ducts that pick up dust and dry out your sinuses. I want to give you the number that should make every American homeowner furious. The average United States household spends between $1,200 and $2,500 per year on heating, according to the Department of Energy. Multiply that across the lifespan of a furnace, call it 15 years, and you are spending $18,000 to $38,000 on heat, plus the cost of replacing the furnace at the end of those 15 years, which runs $5,000 to $12,000 for a mid-range system. A masonry heater, properly built, costs $3,000 to $8,000 in materials. Lifespan, documented in European countries that never abandoned the technology, exceeds 200 years with no major maintenance. The math is so absurd in favor of masonry heating that the only way the modern furnace industry can keep selling product is by making sure most Americans have never heard of the alternative. And that's exactly what they've done. Modern American building codes, the International Residential Code that governs almost every new home built in this country, do not have a proper category for masonry heaters. There is no standardized testing protocol, and there is no checkbox an inspector can mark. The result is that most building inspectors will not approve a masonry heater as the primary heat source for a new home, which means you will be forced to install a backup gas furnace you do not need just to satisfy the permit. The technology is not banned. It is something worse. It is bureaucratically erased. The fossil fuel industry, the natural gas industry, and the HVAC manufacturing industry combined represent over $500 billion in annual revenue in North America. Every single dollar of that revenue depends on you not knowing that a brick stove built by hand can replace their entire product line for 1/5 the cost and 10 times the lifespan. They did not ban masonry heaters. They just made sure your contractor never learned how to build one, your inspector never learned how to permit one, and your bank never learned how to finance one. 2 generations of trades workers came up through apprenticeships without ever being shown the technology. I have been on hundreds of job sites. The number of contractors I have met under 50 who have ever even seen a working masonry heater, let alone built one, is fewer than a dozen. Last winter, I was working on a renovation in Central Ohio. The original house was built in 1878, and in the basement, behind a wall that had been covered up sometime in the 1960s, we found the original masonry heater, still intact. 3,000 pounds of brick, cast iron door, hand forged, with the manufacturer's name still legible. The homeowner was paying $350 a month to heat that house with a gas furnace. The original system, hidden behind a wall for 60 years, would have cost him nothing. We restored it. He fired it up that November. His January gas bill was $18. If you want one, here is exactly how to get one. The cheapest entry point is what is called a rocket mass heater. This design came out of the Pacific Northwest in the 1980s, and it is a barrel and a brick mass bench you can build for under $500. The plans are freely available. The book Rocket Mass Heaters by Ianto Evans and Leslie Jackson, available on Amazon for around $20, walks you through it step by step. Performance is excellent. Aesthetics are rustic. It works. The next step up is a kit-built contraflow heater. Companies like Tempcast and Tulakivi sell pre-engineered cores that you can assemble yourself for between $4,000 and $8,000 in materials. Add another $2,000 for the brick veneer and the labor if you hire out the masonry work, and you have a full system for under $10,000 total. That is less than most homeowners pay to replace a gas furnace and a water heater at the same time. The highest level is a custom-built site-built masonry heater designed by a certified mason. Members of the Masonry Heater Association of North America will travel to your property and build a stove sized to your home. Cost runs $10,000 to $25,000, depending on size and complexity. Lifespan is 200 years. Annual operating cost is whatever your wood costs. If you cut your own from your own property, it is free. If you buy cordwood, it is $200 to $400 per winter for a heavily insulated home. For materials, fire brick costs $3 a piece, and you need around 500 for a full build. Regular brick, around 1,000. Fire clay mortar, 20 bags. A cast iron door costs $200 to $400 from Pisla or Hagos. Plans are available from masonryheater.org for free. Lehman's Hardware in Ohio, the same Lehman's that sells off-grid supplies to self-sufficient communities, stocks every part you need. Your great-grandfather heated his entire farmhouse on 1 log a day. He did not have a furnace warranty. He did not have a service contract. He did not have a monthly gas bill. He had a stove built once by a mason in his community, and that stove was still working when his grandchildren inherited the property. The technology has not changed. The physics still works. The only thing that has changed is that an industry got rich convincing 2 generations of Americans that they need to pay forever for something they used to own outright. When the lights go out, when the gas line freezes, when the grid goes down, when the furnace dies on the coldest night of the year, and the repair guy cannot come for a week, the people who lose are the people whose entire heating system depends on something they do not control. The people with a masonry heater do not lose anything. They throw in another log. Heating solved. But heat alone will not save you when the well pump dies and you have no water coming out of your taps. In the next video, we are looking at the $12 water system every American pioneer family had built into their property, and why drilling companies have spent 50 years making sure you do not know it exists. Subscribe to when the lights go out. Watch the next video appearing on your screen right now.